For more on this story, we can go across to Emmanuelle Chaze, standing by in Kyiv. Emmanuelle, what's the mood like where you are?
Good afternoon, Delano. Well, you were mentioning the strike on the EU delegation building here in Kyiv. I'm just downtown. This building is just across the corner, but as you can see, the street is cordoned off simply because there's still the risk of debris falling from buildings. There are people who are putting on wooden panels on windows that are no longer there, that have been shattered. This is really downtown Kyiv. This is a very busy street. This is where you will find a lot of offices. On the other side of the street, you also have a lot of residential buildings. And this one of those strikes that we will all remember here because it was quite intense, the most intense in weeks. You have to imagine 600 drones nearly that were thrown at Ukraine, 31 missiles. When we speak about those drones, we're not talking about, first-person view drones that are quite small and, that can appear inoffensive. We're talking about 2 meters high, 3 meters large drones full of explosives, and let alone the missiles which carry much more lethal charges of explosives. This is what struck here last night with the European Union, which summoned Moscow's envoy in Brussels after these strikes, after we've seen pictures of that strike from inside the building. Of course, in doing so, Russia violated the Vienna Convention by hitting in the heart of a building belonging to the European Union. For Ukrainians who have been experiencing those bombings day in, day out, this is just another proof that, they don't see any will from Russian side to really veer towards any sort of negotiations.
But Russia says it is still willing to engage in diplomacy with Ukraine. Does anyone where you are believe that, given what happened overnight?
This is Russia's diplomacy behind me. I mean, this is what Ukrainians are experiencing every day. Of course, here from under the bombs, Ukrainians do not believe that Russia has any will whatsoever to actually commit to any peace negotiations. There might have been some hope when Donald Trump had promised that there would be a bilateral meeting, then a trilateral meeting between Volodymyr Zelensky, Vladimir Putin, and the American president. But we've seen since that had been boasted about by the White House that nothing has progressed in this field. In fact, the only diplomatic success that we have been registering since any talks of any kind have appeared between the Russian and the Ukrainian side are the exchanges of prisoners of war, which happen regularly since the Istanbul agreements. But here on the ground, absolutely nothing has changed for Ukrainians. They are still living under Russian bombs daily.
Emmanuelle, thank you very much for that. Emmanuelle Chaze reporting there.